Hello Internet, it's Mike White with 143. So I've been doing a lot of tutorials and I'm trying to get better at making tutorials that are easy to follow and that result in something, that you'd be happy with. So I've got this text all typed out and we have this image. This is the final result that we're going to go for. And we're going to create this completely from scratch using Copilot and Photopea. So let's get started. So here we are in Microsoft Copilot, and this is a free application. I do pay for it so that I can use it more than what they give you for free, but they give you quite a lot for free. And so I've got a prompt here: illustrate a fearsome tiger's head with glowing blue eyes and clearly defined orange and black stripes. His mouth is open in a snarl, exposing sharp white teeth. Now I kind of go into what I want them to do with the image. Hyper realistic. That just makes it sometimes, a little cool. It's good to give it a style. I like to use comic book style or vector art style. This time I'm using hyper realistic. Isolated on white. That way I can remove the background easy. And then this is also to help the background. Draw a thin black outline around the tiger head to separate it from the white background. And here we go. All right, and we got some great options. And at this point, you just pick one that looks like it's going to be easy to chop out and has the characteristics that you're looking for. So just click on one and then use the three dots in the corner once it's loaded and just choose to download it. So when the image downloads, it's going to be named designer.png. That's normal. Might be designer.jpg, I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. Now we're going to go to iloveimg.com to upscale the image. So the size that comes down from Copilot is usually not big enough for you to actually use it in a print. We want our images to be at least 12 inches wide, 3600 pixels. That way if we go smaller, we're okay, but you really can't go bigger than that. So we're just going to select the image. I'm going to go to my downloads folder, choose it, and hit open. And it's going to go through its initial upscaling process. Now, bigger is better when you're trying to remove a background, so you really want to go bigger than you even need. I'm going to go to 4x and let it upscale to that. So it's at 7100 pixels wide, and you probably won't see much of a difference between the left and the right hand side because it was already a nice large resolution, high resolution image, but it has redrawn the pixels larger. This is not the same as upscaling in Canva or enlarging or blowing something up in Photoshop. This is actually redrawn the image larger. So we're just going to click on upscale, and it is telling me this is a premium feature. So I have done this several times today, and I think that's why this is coming up, and I'm not going to actually sign up or upgrade. I use Gigapixel AI normally so that I can do this as much as I want. It's $99 one time. You could sign up for a service like this, but there's several services out there that will let you try it, and I think you can get away with using it on a regular basis. I could also just come in with a different browser and get away with doing it again. So I've already got this upscaled once, so we don't need to worry about that. So here's the file back in my downloads folder. It usually comes back down and it'll be called Designer1 in parentheses, at least on Windows. And I've just renamed it to Tiger Head Upscale. So now I need to find a great font. And I've just gone to fontspace.com. There's so many wonderful websites out there. I like Fontspace because I can search, and I can search for interesting things, and the fonts are tagged very well. So I'm just searching for the word title. And I found this Apes Title. By the way, all of this is going to be in the description of this video, so you can follow these links and find exactly, where I'm taking you. You don't have to write it all down. Okay, so we just click to download the font, and when that downloads, just open up that zip file and double click on the font and click install. Now we need to restart our browser. So we have to actually close out of all instances of the browser to make sure that we're getting the latest fonts available to the browser, since we just installed that font. Okay, and so now we're going to go to photopea.com. I like to call it Photopea. It just sounds more elegant. So we're going to open from computer, and I'm going to go to my downloads folder and get the upscaled version of the tiger head. So our first goal is to remove the background. I'm going to start out by duplicating the layer and actually just hiding this one. That way I just have a copy in case I need to go back to it. Now I'm going to select my magic wand tool and set my tolerance to 80. Now I'm going to click to select the background. I'm just choosing the white background. And I'm going to zoom in. So I'm using Control. I'm holding Control on my keyboard and hitting the plus symbol. You also can use the zoom tool. Sometimes I find that the browser and Photopea just kind of conflict with each other. So sometimes you'll hit Control plus and find your browser zooming in, and that's not fun. Okay, so there's a few parts that have not been selected right down here. So I'm just going to hold Shift and click again. And then this little part right here, I want to get rid of that. There's another part, I'm going to use middle mouse button to I'm clicking and holding on my mouse and dragging with the middle button. There's a part up here I wanted to show you that I'm choosing not to remove that part right there, that white. I just think that is part of the design. So you have to decide, what white to remove, and that's really important. Okay, so now I'm going to start deselecting the parts. What's happened is the magic wand has kind of run in these areas right here and selected all this white inside here, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to grab my lasso tool and I'm going to hold the Alt key and I'm going to start drawing out the parts that I don't want to select. So I'm just following the outside here, and I always like to tell people when they see me do this that I have my mouse speed turned way down, and I believe that's helping me right here. Make just a better drawing selection. So there's parts like this where it's going to, you have to decide how you want to cut this off. And I'm going to go just at an angle and then select around here. I'm just going to go all the way around here. And I'm held Alt while I did that, so it deselected everything that I had circled. All right, now I'm going to do the same on this side. Okay, so with this layer selected, I'm just going to hit delete. So I'm hitting delete on the keyboard, and it's getting rid of all of that outer white. Now I'm going to zoom out, Control minus, and I'm going to grab the marquee tool, and I'm just going to select this portion and hit delete. Sometimes I have to select and click again and then try hitting delete. It wants me to select a layer. Glad that you all saw that, because sometimes I struggle with this. Photoshop's my real tool, and this is something that I'm just showing you all because it's free. So now I want to deselect everything. It says Control D, and I'm just going to cut off the left half of this tiger. So I'm not going to go right in the center. I'm going to go just a little bit to the left of that and select all of this, and again hit delete. So now we've chopped our tiger. Oh, actually I'm going to back up. Sorry. Back up. I want to fix the edges. We can't see it, but all the way around these edges, there's going to be a slight white outline. It's just inherent when you do these kinds of things and you take it off a background. So let's first put a stroke on this. So I'm going to do blending options, choose stroke. I want it on the inside, so it's going in, and I just want to go like 5 pixels. And then the color, I'm just going to click on this color and just pick this edge color. And so you can't even see the change, but it has put a little 5 pixel stroke on the inside all the way around. Actually, you can see it right here. You can see it right there. So it is just kind of cleaned up and helped this thing from having a little glowing outline. Now I'm going to choose to rasterize that layer style. So I'm just right clicking and clicking rasterize layer style. So now that stroke is embedded. And if I wanted to, I could go in and actually erase it from right there, but I'm not going to do that. Now let's cut our tiger in half. I'll choose the marquee tool and just make that same selection again, and then hit delete. And then Control D to deselect. Let's name that layer Tiger. So just double click and type. Okay, it's time to do our text. So I'm just going to choose the text tool, and it's loaded my Apes Title font because I've already done this once. Now I've actually checked on local fonts. So see, I clicked there, and then you check on local fonts. And when you do that, it usually comes up with a window asking you to allow. Now I've already done that, so you have to hit allow, and then you can look through your local fonts. And it's just remembering what I did last time. Okay, so now I clicked, and that created a text layer. So I'm just going to go ahead and type the text that I want. And then I'm going to adjust the size. Let's go with 500px. Not sure why that didn't work, so I'm just going to try it again. There we go. Now this font is interesting. It has different results based on what you type. And so I'm just referring back to my notes. I'm typing it exactly like this. I am, all caps, lowercase, THE for the, all caps tiger. You see exactly what I'm doing here. All right, I'm just gonna grab my move tool and line this up with the tiger. And then I'm gonna turn on the background and then make this I am the same size as the tiger's ear. So I'm going to do Control-Alt-T, and that's transform. And I don't have to hold anything, it just naturally respects the proportions, and just pull that out like that. And then hit enter to confirm. And you can also go to edit and then transform. So since I want to scale these independently, for each one of these layers, I'm going to click again and create a new text layer. So I'm just going to type THE, lowercase, and you can see what I mean by how it's doing that strange, interesting, font. And I'll turn off my background so I can line this up. And then I can scale this if I need to, Control-Alt-T, and I can stretch it out to where I feel like it looks right. And if I hold Shift while I stretch, it doesn't respect the proportions, allowing me to kind of warp the text. Okay, so I'm selecting my text tool again, and I'm going to type tiger. And then I'm going to turn off that background so I can position it. And I just am letting this overlap just slightly on this one word, just so that it calls it out a little more. And then I'm turning that background on so I can use Control-Alt-T, and I'm holding Shift and just scaling this in so that it fills up and creates that space over there. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of the words. Okay, so I have my text all placed. And you can see that I tried to respect the spacing. The space between here and the space here is about the same. In fact, I'm going to adjust that slightly. And I actually made my tiger a little bit bigger so that I could get this kind of, effect of it, this being tucked up inside. And that's why I chose those caps or no caps. And then kind of have the same thing going on down here with the U. But I want all of this to actually fit to the bottom of the tiger. So I want this to be lined up 100%. So I'm just going to select all of these layers and Control-Alt-T. And then I'm going to hold Shift and just pull this down so it keeps all the spacing the same, but lines everything up. And it looks like I need to adjust my U just slightly. So it matches. Okay. Now this is the fun part. So I'm going to select this tiger text, and then I'm going to click this little button here for a new layer. So I'm just making a new layer that we can paint on right above the tiger. And then I'm going to hold Control and click the T, and you can see what it's done. It's actually selected that text. Now I'm going to grab my clone tool. They call this clone stamp in Photoshop. And I'm going to adjust the size. So you can adjust the size by using the bracket keys on your keyboard. It's kind of hard for me to show you how that works. But they're right above the enter key. There's two little bracket keys just slightly up and to the left from the enter key on your keyboard. And I'm just going to choose a size like this. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to adjust the hardness. So I'm actually going to bring this down to 50%. I usually like to paint with a hard brush, or I also like a 50% brush quite a lot. So I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard. Oh, source, current layer. Sorry. Nope, source is going to be all layers. So now it's going to pull from all the different layers. Okay, and I'm going to turn off my tiger. And I'm going to turn on that background layer, and I'm just going to grab the Move tool. Kind of doing things out of order here. Sorry, let's deselect that text, and let's just move this background layer over so that we can see and we can have access to all these stripes to paint with. Okay. Now I'm going to select that layer again and hit Control, hold Control, and click on the T so that it's all selected. Got the right layer selected. I'm going to grab my clone tool and I hold Alt to define where I want to paint from. So I'm just going to pick right about here. Let's go with right in here to get this orange. And then I'm going back on this layer, and it's only going to paint where the selection is. And I'm just going to paint that in right like this. So it's just painting those stripes, whatever's there. And if you don't like part of it, you can come back and paint from another area, and with that blend tool, you know, with that 50%, you can kind of just make your own little custom texture out of this. So I'm going to go, you know, here in the middle, you know, kind of low, and just paint this middle part in. And then if I feel like I need some whites, you know, I can bring that in from another area. And I'm just going to paint all of this in. And just keep fixing up different parts with other parts of the image so that I get what I want. And I'm just looking for a little bit of variety. And I'm also thinking about, you know, the colors and whether they're going to stand out and look nice next to each other. Okay, we'll go with something like that. Alright, so I'm going to deselect, Control D, or just use the menu. And I'll turn off this background because we don't need that. And I'll turn our tiger back on. And now we're going to do the blending option. So I'm going to right click, I'll just grab my Move tool. Right click, Blending Options. And I'm going to choose Stroke. And this time I want it on the outside. And I want a black color. So I'm just going to choose that black. I'll move this out of the way, and you can see that's just kind of helped define the edges so this is more legible. But I'm also concerned about this working on a white, on a black shirt. So I'm just going to hit the plus symbol and choose that stroke, select that, and then I'll grab this orange color that we're using, and I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. So we'll go probably right at 15. You can type it in if you want to be precise. And now we've got that outlined in orange. And I'm just noticing, like, I think a part that didn't get painted. So I'm going to go back and fix that. We're going to grab our clone tool again and just paint. Control click right here. Everything looks pretty good. All right, so we're just going to do select, deselect, and we're almost done. All right, so now we're going to trim our image. We're going to go to Image, Trim, And I'm just going to choose top left pixel color or transparent. Either one works. All right, it's trimmed. We have no white space, so we can get accurate dimensions. And now I'm going to go to image size again, and we're going to go to 300 on our DPI, and then set this to 3600. So now we have a 12-inch image that's 11 inches high, and we're just going to hit OK. Awesome, and the image is resized. So now I can go to File, and I'm going to go to Export As, and I want to export as PNG. And I'm just going to choose Save. So it should have saved it back in my Downloads folder. There it is. I'm going to rename this I am the tiger. Awesome. And I'm so ready to use this now. I can just go to 143vinyl.com. I'm going to go click on the DTF and choose the layout designer. Set my size to a 12 by 12. Choose the image and upload it. And I'm ready to name the project. Save it. It's storing it on the image server. And then I can just adjust my quantity and add it to cart. Hey, I hope that was helpful and taught you something new. And if you have any requests for tutorials, or if you loved this one, I'd love to hear your comments and questions. And as always, buy your transfers from 143vinyl.com. Have a great day. Goodbye.